Why are you so obsessed with that person? This is another astrology vlog, so if you guys are not interested in that, just go ahead and scroll. We're going to be looking at a few of the things that I have seen that can encourage obsession between two people, and we're going to do it using Synastry charts. Before we get into it, the stars impel, but do not compel. You may have the most beautiful synastry with somebody, or the worst synastry with somebody, and you can still have the worst relationship or the best relationship, respectively. You absolutely always have a choice. Don't ever forget that. Just a few definitions. A synastry chart is when you put two birth charts on top of each other and you can see how their planets interact and how their aspects interact and where their planets fall within the houses. To understand this, you're kind of going to need to know the basics about the houses, how the zodiac signs, what they stand for, and how they work, and the basics of how the aspects work. We're really only going to be talking about one aspect anyway. So, when somebody asks why they can't get over somebody, why they keep thinking about them, basically asking why they're obsessed with this person, I have learned to automatically look at a few things. At number 3, I look at the 12th house immediately. Do these two people have 12th house synastry? The 12th house is where things go to get dissolved. It is traditionally ruled by Neptune, Pisces, and it's a very watery, vague house. It's called the house of God, and it's also called the house of hidden enemies. This is where you kind of shove all the things you don't want to look at. It's like the attic in your house. You just put stuff up there and try to forget. Painful memories, good memories, trauma, even spiritual gifts. They can be all found up here in your 12th house attic. So when somebody's planet comes into your 12th house, it can trigger the unconscious things in your life that part of you wants you to integrate, but the conscious part of you has either forgotten about intentionally or unintentionally and shoved up there. So my 12th house is Aries. My ex-husband had his son in my 12th house. And something that I realized later on is that I was suppressing myself. The sun is self. It's your ego, your personality, things like that. And I was always suppressing my ego and my personality. And so much so that I was extremely quiet and wouldn't really talk to anybody. I needed more of that sun energy, but didn't realize it. And I think that's part of the reason why our lives became intertwined as they did. I learned a lot of hard lessons in that relationship that kind of helped me level up to where I am now. That's kind of how I see this spiritual house, this house of God. This person had Jupiter there, and at the time I was still kind of suppressing my spirituality. Jupiter is a highly spiritual planet. After I stopped interacting with this warlock, I was more able to protect myself spiritually. I needed that, didn't realize it, and then we clashed into each other's lives, and I learned how to protect myself spiritually. This is also the house of dreams. So people with their stuff here, you might dream about them. This person was intentionally dream walking. I asked him to stop, and he did. So, yay. One of my children has her Mars here. I suppress my anger a lot, and I've had to learn how to deal with it in a non destructive way because she's my kid. I'm not going to hurt her if I can help it. And part of the reason why when people have things in your 12th house, it feels intense and faded, probably because it is. People with this synastry with you tend to be soulmates. And something that I will always tell you guys is a soulmate is not necessarily here for the fun and games. They're here to teach you soul lessons. How do people tend to learn lessons? The fucking hard way. They tend to learn lessons the hard way until they become self-aware, and then they can start learning lessons quickly without all the resistance that causes a lot of pain. So this history that I'm getting ready to go through, the rest of it and this, a lot of astrologers will tell you to avoid because it's so intense, and a lot of souls just are not ready to level up. Then there's 8th house synastry. The 8th house is traditionally ruled by Pluto. Scorpio is traditionally here also. And people tend to find Pluto dominant people and Scorpio scary because they're mirrors to other people. They tend to attract a lot of people who either love them or hate them because of how Scorpios just dredge up, difficult feelings or feelings of love or whatever. Pluto is it can be a very controlling planet. It's a planet of extremes. So when things are in the 8th house or they are aspected by Pluto, you can have extreme reactions, extreme emotions, extreme events happen when this is involved. And when somebody's stuff falls into your 8th house, it can trigger an extreme reaction, especially if they've already got 12th house synastry with you, and then they've got this 8th house synastry, and they also have their Pluto square your Venus. I just told you what Pluto was about: control, extremes, death, rebirth. Venus is about love, beauty, luxury, money, even. And when their Pluto interacts with your Venus, Pluto is a very powerful planet. It craves power, it craves control, and when its synapses are lit up by what it likes, which is Venus, it can create a very obsessive, controlling situation. The square creates tension. Pluto is also about sex. Venus can also be about sex. So it can create sexual tension. Venus, there being about the emotions, even the moon, but we're not going to talk about that right now. It can create emotional tension. And most of the time, when somebody asks this question, I look at their synastry chart. I either see 2 out of 3 of these, or all 3 of them, or just Pluto square Venus. So that's just a short rundown of what I've noticed. Remember, you have to take their chart on its own and look and see how they interact with their aspects and stuff, and yours also. Then put them together, take it all together, and see what you can find. Alright, so with that being said, y'all be safe, stay dangerous out here, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now.